There we go. Now we're good. Okay, good evening, everybody. It is 6 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order for the Board of Education, Wednesday, August 12th, 2026, 6 p.m. here at Frederick School. A roll call, please.
Mack.
Here.
Braden.
Here.
Nash. Absent. Halverson.
Here.
Hune.
Here.
Miller. Absent. Weedman.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Please join me for the pledge. Thank you. I need a motion to approve this evening's agenda, please.
I'll move. I'll second.
Okay.
Mack.
Aye.
Halverson.
Aye.
Weedman.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
And Hune.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we still have one microphone down here that's just not, oh, there it is.
Testing. Am I on? Oh.
Okay. Do we have any public comments signed up at the moment?
Yes, we do. Carl Zegan.
Okay. The little button there should turn red for you.
Perfect.
Yep. Thank
And
you.
I have my timer to make sure I don't go over. So good evening, board. Thank you so much. I wanted to congratulate. I was very excited to see the district with Organic Life Smart Food Service of Chicago. That was super huge, and so congratulations on that, on getting the food vendor. It'd be like nice to try some of their stuff. So I continue to support the MAHA movement. So I do want to share some concerns, and one of them is from the IllinoisReportCard.com. These are some stats of the district. This is why you guys are here. I'm supposed to state my full name. It's Carl Zegan, and I do not have any children. So the proficiency math overall for the district, according to the IllinoisReportCard.com 2025 for Grace Lake District 46, is 42.4%. The state is 38.4%, just a comparison. ELA proficiency overall for the district is 57.1%. The state is 52.4%. And then the science proficiency overall for the district is 56.9% and 44.6% for the state. So we're beating the state, but frankly, I'm concerned about this, and it's probably been like this for a while, but that's why I showed up. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is according to the District 46 site per annual comprehensive financial report, fiscal year 25, page 23, the district-wide revenue is 49% from taxes. So this implication is the district is putting out less than 50% overall math proficiency that myself, along with other taxpayers, are paying the bill partly. I'm not happy about that. I encourage the board to figure out and implement changes to improve, or don't ask for any more referendums as far as money. The third thing, according to the district site as well, 46, under the equity and inclusion, this district disregards immigration status, or from my understanding, implies that I am partly paying for illegals. If this is true, I am clearly stating my objection to this, and I really don't want my hard-earned dollars spent, first of all, on poor results, secondly, on unlawful situations. In closing, my encouragement to the board is what are each of you, and as well as a board collectively, going to do about this? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments signed up on the list? Okay. All right, that moves us on to our board report section for the evening's agenda. I'll go ahead and start tonight just because I'm going to next week begin school, so I will welcome everybody preemptively back to school before you all start. I wish you a really successful and excellent year, and hopefully everything's going smoothly, and looking forward to seeing all the pictures and everything next week. Last week we did have the governing board meeting for CEDAL. That governing board meets quarterly, so this was the summer meeting, then there's a winter meeting, or a fall meeting, a winter meeting, and a spring meeting. They gave a robust update on the ESY program, the extended school year. Over the summer, they had enrollment of 309 students that they serviced over the summer, which was, again, a very robust enrollment for that program. The theme was Under the Sea, and all of the different classes through CEDAL and the students who were in that program experienced that different theme throughout the course of the summer. Also, they are encouraging everybody to follow CEDAL on your social media platforms. If you don't already, I would encourage you to do so. They share, like we do, pictures and updates of the goings-on the CEDAL campuses. The new superintendent, this was her first governing board meeting, Dr. Thomas, who comes from McHenry and is now the new superintendent for CEDAL. They also shared about their continuous improvement process, which is a constant program that they're working on. New measurements they're implementing over the next couple months, and they'll report back to the governing board in the fall meeting about how that is going. The budget was approved. A new contract, 3-year contract with their teachers union was also approved, and they're getting ready to launch the school year next Thursday as well. I also had an opportunity to meet with Dr. Thomas individually yesterday and invited her to come to a future board meeting. So I'd like to increase hopefully the potential of times that she comes to the board meetings, within reason, of course. There's 31 districts, and she's got to go to all of those, which would be a lot. But she would love to come and visit District 46, so hopefully we'll be working out a time when she can come and do a little presentation and talk about stuff happening at CEDAL. So those are my updates. I can start down here this time. Ms. Halverson?
I have no updates this evening.
I also have no update this evening.
Mrs. Braden?
I just have a really quick encouragement. I am about halfway through Dr. Carmona's podcast debut on is it Voices of Grace? Discovering Grays Lake podcast. It's great so far. I learned a couple new things about you already, Dr. Carmona, but one of the things that's really struck me so far in the first 30 minutes or so is just how authentic you are, how student-focused you are, and what a great listener you are. So encourage everybody to give it a listen. You'll learn a little bit, and just really makes me excited to continue working with you and partnering with you. So good stuff.
It's a great listen. Mr. Weedman?
Just one thing that I think we need to keep on our radar as we go forward here is there's currently 3 subdivisions working their way through the approval process in Grays Lake. Roughly about 215 to 220 residential units coming into town. I've got my boundaries right. One of them is in Woodview's district, and the other one is in Avon, and one is in Meadowview. So as we watch the children from those come in, we need to make sure that we're prepared for them as far as capacity. So I don't know if that, when we start looking at that, if that's going to be something that we may need to look at redrawing the school district boundary lines internally. Just as put it on the radar. They're moving their way through. They'll probably be, I would assume they'll probably be approved by towards the end of the year. But those are things that are coming through. So, and then this weekend is also the Grays Lake Days downtown, and the Grays Lake Days parade will also be Saturday night. So keep that on your radar.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes the board reports. I'll hand it over to Dr. Carmona for the superintendent report.
Thank you so much. Good evening, board members and members of the community. I'd like to start with an update on our approach to professional development this year. As a district, we have decided to give our school leaders more flexibility in determining the professional learning needs of their buildings. Every school is different, from the challenges our staff face every day to the goals in their school improvement plans and the needs of their students. We believe our principals are best positioned to know what their teams need the most. So this year, we're restructuring our half-day PDs to reflect our belief. Half of our professional development days will be district-driven, and align with our system's strategic priorities, while the other half will be building-driven, designed by each school leader around the goals in their school improvement plan. I do want to be clear about one thing, though. Differentiation doesn't mean disconnection. Even as we split our PD between district-driven and school-driven days, we are holding ourselves to the standards of coherence across all of it. Our district's strategic priorities must guide the work across every building. We're aligning in the what and the why, but we are differentiating in the how. We're also applied this same thinking to the very first day of our staff, when our staff return, which is Monday, August 17. Rather than a single format for the whole day, the staff will spend half of the day with the district team and half of the day in their schools. It is a small structural change, but it reflects a bigger philosophy, trusting our building leaders to lead within a framework that keeps us all moving together. I'm thrilled to share also that all 4 of our new media centers have officially received full occupancy approval from the Regional Office of Education. Overall construction across the district is now 95% complete, and the students and staff can begin using these newly updated spaces as soon as we wrap up a few final decorative details. Here are the final timeline to cross the finish line, and we have some pictures later to show you where we are with. I'm not sure if those pictures are ready. Okay, perfect. So there's 2 major aspects, and we'll go over some of those pictures. Let's go a little bit ahead. We'll be down there. There you go. So let me finish here, and then I'll go back to the pictures. At Park, the work on a movable wall that we had some issues with should be completed by next Tuesday, so before we start the school year. And then we have some custom murals at all 4 of the centers, the final aesthetic touch for all of them. Per the manufacturer guidance, freshly paint walls must cure for a full 30 days before we can install the murals. So that's the only part that will take a little longer. But we put these pictures in here for you to see the before and the after, and how the spaces have transitioned into spaces that are way more inviting. There's a lot of LED lighting, furniture that is movable and easy to move. You see here Park Campus. You go to the next slide. You see Meadowview. This one we have a little bit of delay with some of the tiles, but they are catching up. This is how it looks still in Meadowview. Prairie View, I believe, is almost pretty much done, that building. You go to the next one, you'll see a little bit more how the reflection. This is the type of wall that we're talking, a park that is not necessarily there. It's called a nano wall. It's a wall that is actually folds and allows us to open both spaces to create a big space to have meetings or other interactions with students. You go to the next slide. This is Frederick here, this building. If you want to take a look, just go through this door now that we can utilize. I was mentioning before, it smells really nice. That smell of new, it's actually pretty cool. Hopefully it lasts a long time. That's another example of what a nano wall looks like. I learned yesterday that it's called nano wall because it's like peeled like a banana. So although I would call it more like an accordion. You go to the next slide. That's it? Okay, perfect. I also wanted to take a moment as we talk about construction to think about custodial teams. Getting our buildings ready for the start of school year is not a small task, especially with active construction underway. And their hard work behind the scenes is a big part of why we can welcome staff and students into clean, ready spaces to learn. Finally, in speaking about opening our buildings, I want to close by saying where my heart really is right now, which is the excitement about opening our schools. I am very excited. Many of you have heard me saying, and you hear the podcast, you hear me saying that I'm a teacher pretending to be a superintendent. Welcoming our students back, seeing our buildings full of energy again is one of my favorite parts of this work, and I know it's shared by every single one of our staff members. I also wanted to share something we did to prepare for it. I surveyed every one of our school leaders and asked them directly, what support do you need from our district office teams during these first 3 days of schools. The answers shape the deployment calendar that we are putting together to ensure that we have the support that principals need either in arrival, dismissal, recess, lunch, and whatever else comes up during those hectic, high-energy first few days. I want to be clear that this support is not just for the first 3 days of school. The deployment calendar is a starting point for something our district office teams will continue throughout the school year. Support that becomes more strategic over time, focus on improving the daily learning experiences for our students in each one of our buildings. It tells a very important message to our school leaders that they're not managing these first few days of school alone, but it also tells our staff and our families that the district office is invested in what happens in our classrooms all year long. I couldn't be more excited to welcome our staff back on Monday, August 17. Our K-8 students back on Wednesday, August 19. It's a half day. And our early childhood center students back on Monday, August 24. And with that, I pass it to Amy, who has a couple of other updates about teaching and learning.
Thanks. So, good evening. As Dr. Carmona was just sharing, we've been spending a lot of time thinking about how are we supporting our staff and through some professional learning. And so I would love to share with you some professional learning that we've had happen over the last 2 weeks, just in these first 2 weeks of August. On August 3rd and 4th, we had 32 staff attend a 2-day session on English language development implementation through the lens of content and classroom instruction in co-taught classrooms. As part of those 2 days, teachers were able to begin planning and thinking about what their co-teaching can look like. In addition to that, on August 5th, we had 6 of our dual language teachers attend a session on providing English language development as part of the content and allocation plan implementation in both 2-way and 1-way dual language classrooms. All 3 of those days were presented to us by a consultant from Adelante Educational Specialists. So we were really excited to have all of that training done last week. In addition to that, last week we also, on August 6th, so on Thursday, we had 85 staff members here in the Frederick Multipurpose Room who will be in a team leader role. And in those 85 staff members came for a day of training, planning, and deep discussion about what that means in order to be able to lead and facilitate their teams back in their buildings. The focus was on how team leaders will support the work of their teams in order to support all students. So if you think about collaboration by all, for all. The team leaders met as a whole district with me in the morning and then back at their buildings in the afternoon to focus on more building-specific conversations. This week has been really exciting as well. I'll start with yesterday on August 11th, we had 33 mentors attend our new staff orientation, and I'll talk more about that in a second, where they started off the day in a mentor training that was led by Jamie Parker, who was our teacher on special assignment and had been facilitating that previously, and she is now an assistant principal at Meadowview. The mentors are an absolute integral part of our new teacher induction program where they support on a one-on-one level with new staff for the entire district. Later in the morning, the mentors joined me with the new staff and just to discuss how they will support work together throughout the year, and then spent the afternoon in their buildings with their new staff members to be able to help them navigate their buildings. So that was an exciting part of the day yesterday. In addition to that, you can go ahead and start looking at the slides. In addition to that, we welcomed 40 new staff members to the CCSD 46 family yesterday. We hosted this at GMS. Didn't want to bring everyone in here, given the media center. So we hosted this at GMS this year, and we have new staff orientation. It was yesterday, it was all day today, and we will conclude tomorrow. Over the course of the 3 days, we provided time to get to know each other, to get to know the district, and to their schools and their mentors, as I shared. We started off together here in the multipurpose room and then moved into the media center there. Today, their session was led by our building instructional coaches, and they spent time engaging in learning and discussion about setting up routines with their students, building relationships with families and with students, and engaging with resources that will support instruction. And over the course of the 3 days, technology, student services, multilingual services, and human resources will also either have spent time or will be spending time with the staff over these 3 days. So we're really excited to welcome in our new 40 staff members.
Thank you, Amy. Before I conclude, certainly very excited about that staff orientation. I had a chance to spend the time with the new teachers and the mentors yesterday, and one thing that caught my attention was the emphasis wasn't so much on giving them instructions of what to do. The focus was on really building relationship with the mentors. At the end of the day, they're going to be the ones that are going to guide them along the way. I love, for example, we have a little introduction to Parent Square. And I think Amanda, for the most part, showed a couple of slides and then walk away, because the mentors were sitting next to the new teachers and showing them their newsletters and the way how they communicate for families. So I remember 26 years ago when I was sitting in a room like that as a new teacher, had no idea what to do. I was assigned a mentor, but wasn't assigned to me until 3 months after the school year started. That's way too late. We started 3 days before the staff come in, and really giving the foundation for building that relationship that will be so important for them as they learn their way, especially for those new teachers who this is the first experience in front of students. So very excited about that, and I want to thank the whole team for putting these activities together for them. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. For the consent agenda tonight, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the personnel addendum that was sent to us earlier.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay.
Braden,
Aye.
Hune,
Aye.
Halverson,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
and Weedman.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. That brings us to the Finance Committee tentative budget. Mr. Gordon, I would invite you to join us at the table. And I'm handing it over to Mr. Wold.
Louder? There we go. I'm loud anyway, I know that. All right, so we're here today for the annual tentative budget, which is, of course, an annual thing that has every school district due in August with an adopted budget in September. I do want to focus on this slide, even though it's a tentative budget, because everything we do with a budget is focused on this, our mission, empowering learners, creating equity, and cultivating community. As we create a budget, this whole team in here and everyone we collaborate with, that is the focus. Everything we do is to focus back to students. Here's a quick timeline of what a kind of budget is created. Usually you're meeting January to May with every department head, principals, any kind of school leader, even to the staff at times. You're creating your preliminary budget from January to May. You're reviewing your tentative budget with the school board in June, as we did in June here. You're having your tentative budget today. You're going to hear it today. You are required to post it for 30 days ahead of adopting by a school board. So after today, tomorrow morning, we will be posting our tentative budget at the district office. After that, you have to have a public hearing. Our public hearing on this will be next in September 16th. We'll have a public hearing for anybody who would like to attend, just like today, community members, anybody who would, and that is when the board will take an official vote on adopting the budget. It has to be filed with the county clerk by September 30th. So you always do a few days early, make sure they get it. Agenda today, disclosure of district fund balances, our expected revenues, and anticipated expenditures. Our values here in CCSD 46 is super important. I'm not going to read every line item here, but we do want to focus on fostering creativity through wonder, imagination, and powerful questions that lead to discovering innovative opportunities and solutions for our students. And we want to maximize student engagement. and develop critical thinking skills that lead to lifelong learning and global thinking. And that is what we here as a district, of course, want from every student that goes through our doors when they finish 8th grade and enter into high school. So getting into the actual budget now. We are required, it's Public Act 1020895, to disclose our cash reserve balances across all district funds. We use eight different funds here in Illinois. There is a ninth, but not many school districts use the Fire and Prevention Fund. But here's a disclosure of our fund balances going back to year 22-23, so fiscal year 23. Okay. More of a focus is we call it the operating funds, the funds that a school district needs to operate and continue to educate students and have our staff. For past tax levies, the district levied about $35 million in education fund and $4.8 million in operations and maintenance fund. These two operating funds represent the primary operational revenues supporting daily instructional programs and facility maintenance across the district. Salaries, any kind of improvements would come from typically those two funds that aren't major, which would come from capital improvements. This will be adjusted. I know we see an O&M negative balance, so as we request revenues this year with our tax levy, we would obviously adjust more money into O&M and less in the education fund. So when you see the adopted budget in a month, that is what you will see, is a little bit more dedicated to O&M and less to ed, to try to have at least a positive balance in each. Here is our operating revenues, okay? Our operating revenues present our operation revenue state for 26-27. The state evidence-based funding formula came out on Friday with our new tiers. CCSD was reclassified from a Tier 1 district to a Tier 2 district. In the state formula, Tier 1 districts are those furthest from their adequacy target, meaning they could educate with what they have from local tax. They would be able to have an adequate budget for continuing to operate. A district that moves from Tier 1 to Tier 2 when its funding ratio increases relative to state benchmarks due to changes in our EAV, which we will talk about later, enrollment shifts, or prior state aid distributions. As a result of entering Tier 2, unfortunately, we did get our state allocation was $21,851,842.88, which is about $800,000 less than we would have had if we were Tier 1, which we anticipated. So there is a decrease in what we anticipated, but still an increase in funding, which is guaranteed by the state. Second, regarding state transportation reimbursement, our annual ISB transportation claim is always due August 15th. For last year, we noticed that general education transport mileage was only about 150,000 miles versus 250,000 miles in years past. I've been doing my due diligence, and I'm going to continue to do that with Durham. I've asked them to send all invoices to us for the last 5 years, and I have my team actually putting those in the spreadsheets as we speak to try to find the error, because 100,000 miles is not, it's obviously out of the ordinary. So we are getting that looked at, and I am going to have an update with the board next board meeting, but we are going to get that submitted by Friday, but we need the right numbers. So I have met with Durham twice already to make sure we get the transportation claim with the right mileage. The report they gave us just did not seem accurate to me based on history of CCSD 46. Now we move on to our evidence-based funding shift. Official notification received, I said, on Friday that transitioned us from Tier 1 to Tier 2 in our EBF model. In prior cycles, CCSD was calculated at 70% funding adequacy, which put us in Tier 1. Our adequacy level increased to 74.24%, just came out on Friday. That did move us to Tier 2. I do want you to look at the bar graph up there and just notice the rate of change above each bar graph. What that represents is our increase from year to year with EBF funding. As you can see, we only got an extra 1.6% funding this year from last year, which is quite a decrease from what we expected. And I explained that was an $800,000 difference than we would have expected if we stayed in Tier 1. Key points to make here. Outline the governing framework for local tax revenues. Lake County taxing bodies operate under a property tax extension limitation law. You've heard it as PTEL, okay? PTEL does limit us to increase every year of 5%. When we file a tax levy, we turn it into the county clerk, they take that against last year's what they call a tax extension. Tax extension is what we actually receive. The tax levy is what we ask for. They base it off the tax extension, not off our tax levy year to year. We do know that CPI this year, because it's always a year in the rear, is 2.7%. So we would expect a 2.7% increase compared to last year's tax extension, plus any new construction or new property. That also can be added to on top of the 2.7%. That does not count towards your CPI increase. And then historically, I did want to show a little bit of history of CPI. Obviously, the green boxes is the one to focus on, but it illustrates the relationship between CPI and district revenues. Property taxes generate 58% of our operating revenue here in CCSD 46. Because local property tax extensions are legally bound by PTEL, the certified CPI directly limits operational revenue growth by the existing property plus what we talked about with the new property, with the certified CPI being 2.7% this year. So we would expect, again, 2.7% more than last year's extension, not our last year's tax levy. Okay. And that would be for the local property taxes. Here is our equalized assessed value. The assessment cycle in Lake County, they do an assessment cycle every 4 years, so quadricentennial cycles in Lake County to look at equalized assessed value. They look at in new construction values and tax rates within the county clerk. So you'll usually see jumps in years they do their assessments. Okay, our EAV this year, as you can see, is over $1 billion this year for the first time. So our EAV tax property valuation in our boundaries is going up. And EAV basically is if you took all of our properties within the boundaries of CCSD 46, that's what they're assessed at. That is the property, that is the value of all the property within our boundaries. And then, of course, new property. We do have some new property that is going to go into it this year of $948,000. Of course, it's not a lot of new property at that much, but it does give us a little extra funding on top of the 2.7%. I did check with the villages. We do not have any TIFs coming off the books. That would also give us extra funding, but we do not have any coming off the books this year. Here's a summary of our revenues. I know this is very important. The school board usually wants to see this, but on this schedule, you'll see 58.29% of our revenues do come from local real estate taxes. State is 31.64%. We expected it to be a little higher, but of course our EBF decreased that amount. Federal aid is only 3%. Interest on money we have invested, just over 1%. Local, that would be student fees, that would be all the other things that families pay, sport fees, concession stand fees, all those other things, 2.6%, and then transfers. Transfers is tricky. Internal transfers is not necessarily extra revenues that are coming in, but the state does reflect that in this. Okay. Summary of expenditures, obviously very, very important. Salaries and benefits, as you can see, make up a very large majority, 55% of our total expenditures. Next, by purchase services. Purchase services include a lot of different pieces. That's our nighttime custodial staff, that's technology software, any curricular resources can be that, contracted special education personnel, regular maintenance of our buildings, all that would fit under purchase services. Materials, I don't think I need to describe much about materials and supplies that we purchase. Capital outlay is a big portion this year. Usually you wouldn't see something at 12.8%, but you're building 4 beautiful media centers. So that's going to be a little higher percentage than usual. You'll see equipment up there. Equipment's very low, but there are equipment, other 0.07%, but that was important to include. Bond interest, so debt that we have that we're paying back does have interest. Also the principal that we have to pay back. Okay, and then you have see the miscellaneous, and then tuition for outplaced students and CDL students, and then transfers. So that makes up 100% of our expenditures across the district. All right. Our operating funds. So our operating funds this year, which is very important to look at the operating funds, because this is the funds that not only we should be focused on, because this is what it takes to run our district, but of course, this eliminates like things like capital funds, which we need to do the improvements. And as you can see, we do have a $3,818,410.07 deficit. So that is where we are with that. That does exclude, like I talked about, capital projects and any debt service is the two that would exclude. Just wanted to make sure it was there for you, so the board can exactly see where it is for this year. And then budgetary considerations, we did cut that 3.8 million down to about 3.1 with some collaboration amongst the district, but unfortunately we lost that EBF funding, so it kind of went right back to where we anticipated. But we were able to achieve that through multiple areas. Technology, we were able to figure out eliminating about $50,000 worth of technology expenses in regards to equipment. $170,000 we adjusted when we're going to get our new SIS system, our student information system, pushed it back a little bit because of the situation we're in. $115,000 we actually, it's not really an expense out of the budget, but it was paid last fiscal year, so you're not going to see that as an expense this fiscal year. And then we extended our technology refresh cycles, and I think I saw Amanda talk about that months ago, but from 3 years to 4 years. So we did our refresh cycle, which is also a cost savings for the district. And then we know we have O&M. So O&M was another cost savings opportunity. O&M was just looked at history. I looked at 10 years of history of O&M expenses with Jose and his team, and we were just overestimating in our budget each year on how much we would spend. So I brought it down to a number that was more based on what we've been used to. A lot of times they do that to be conservative, just in case we do have to, but because of the situation I want it to be more actual. So that was the other area we were able to cut expenses out, but unfortunately with that EBF loss, it was almost a wash on what we had presented in June. And then last but not least, it would be important to talk about the long-term facilities plan. We have a lot of needs. We do have, of course, a deficit. So we really want to sit down. It's not only the people in this room, but it's even stakeholders outside of this room that we'd want to sit down and really lay out our long-term facilities plan to see what is the biggest priority and get that met first and create a priority list for that to make sure we're doing other things that we need to do for our buildings to keep them running, but also be fiscally responsible to taxpayers. So that is something we need to look at and rethink our priorities with the long-term facilities plan. That is all I got.
Questions from board? Mr. Weidman?
First, I just want to talk about the TIFs that you brought up. The Village of Grays Lake has been really good about not creating new TIF districts in Grays Lake at all, period. Village of Grays Lake doesn't have any that I know of, period. I think the only place that we might have a TIF might be up in Round Lake, Round Lake Beach, but I think that one already expired as well. So I don't think that is going to be an issue in our future. So the village has found other ways to incentivize people coming in other than a TIF district, which harms us. And then a question, and it's just something for the future for us, if you could kind of put together information for the board, if possible, is you put up the historical CPI of the last 10 years or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. Is there a way that you could put side by side the percentage of actual increase in our costs? Because while the CPI is stuck down at 0.2, our costs didn't stick at 0.2. They were, 0.4, 0.5, or not 0.4, but 4%, 5%. So the increases that have been coming to our district is far outweigh the CPI that comes into our district. Salaries, purchase services, transportation, food, everything went through the roof during COVID. We fell way behind with all that stuff. Yep. So I wonder if there's a way that you can kind of give us a historical look at that as well in the future. That gives us a good kind of talking point as far as this is part of the reasons why we're in the mess that we're in.
So just to clarify, make sure I have it right, basically a percent increase historically, side by side of actual increases in expenses, and then actual increases in revenues side by side. With the CPI, yep.
Yeah.
That can be done.
This is you?
I just had a question, and doesn't need an answer tonight, but just maybe for the future. I'm curious about the Durham situation and the overestimate about the mileage. And if we have a sense of like how long that could have been an error?
Yeah,
And
so
what I don't know, what the consequence of that might be?
yeah, I can get back to you on that. I can get back to you on that, yeah.
And and forgive me if this is a silly question, but we've been Tier 1 for as long as EBF has been around. That's an annual designation, right? They do the tier annually, and then, so obviously, schools that move up a tier, I mean, you're more funded, right? Like theoretically in your mind, right? But then it has the offset on the other side of it. Does that, so we went up a tier, could we come back down a tier? Like, is it that flexible?
It is unfortunately not that.
No,
flexible.
once you're up, you're,
No, you could, it's determined every year. So in theory, you could go from, Dr. Mack, from Tier 2 back to Tier 1, which
Right.
I think is what the question is asking. However, in doing my due diligence and looking at the history of that, it
We
doesn't
wouldn't want
happen
to.
very
Right.
often, and when
Right.
it does, it takes years.
right,
Typically.
right.
Yeah,
Okay. But it is an annual designation, so they review that every, yeah.
every year.
Yep.
Yeah.
That kind of cut score between 1 and 2
Yep.
has been going up in percentages as well.
Progressively.
So if I remember right, we were down as low as 60-some-odd% at one
Correct.
point.
Yeah.
Maybe even further down, and that cut score was like 1 or 2% ahead of us.
Right, and we were always right.
As we went up, it
Yeah.
went up, so we were kind of just under that
Right,
for
and now it
the
was
last
enough
4 or
to
5 years.
bump us over,
And
yep.
then with the referendum that we passed,
Yep.
it kind of bumped us over.
Yep.
It's a moving target.
Yep, yep.
It's a moving target.
All right, thank you. Other questions? Ms. Braden?
Are you sure? Okay. Mine is probably a little broader than this year's budget as well, but I was thinking about what Jim brought up in his board report about new home construction coming in. I think it would be helpful to have a conversation about where that lands us net in terms of its residential. And so, you know, the rule of thumb that I think Jim shared with me when I first joined the board many years ago is that if you build a single-family home in Grays Lake and put 3 kids in it, it costs more to educate the kids than what you get in tax dollars from that house. So I think that's an implication we really need to think about, and I'd love to try to quantify that in some way so that we can get our arms around what the impact would be sooner rather than later. And then corollary to that, I'd be really interested in guidance around what is the messaging and advocacy then based on what we learn for the village? How do we represent our needs in this situation correctly, accurately, and advocate for what we would need to adequately educate those students with the monies that would be coming in?
You know, with talking to the village, I think there is an opportunity, now these are smaller subdivisions, right? But, you know, our impact fees for new construction probably haven't changed in 25 years, if not more. So I couldn't tell you exactly what it is right now because it's the village actually sets that tone. We don't get a say in what they decide what our impact fees are. But it might be worth a conversation again with, let's see where these are and what we need to, maybe even tie that impact fee to the cost of inflation, right? So that at least it goes up a little bit every year. We're not getting a whole lot of growth, residential growth in our district in Grays Lake to begin with. It's also be worth talking to the other villages that we have open space in to have some of those talks about impact fees if they get new subdivisions coming in. Round Lake Park and Round Lake have good chunks of land out towards Fairfield and 120 area out there that's in our district. So depending on what they decide to put out there, if they're going to put up more homes, that'd be a conversation that I think we need to have ahead of time.
Are all the plans that you mentioned, Jim, specifically within the village of Grays Lake, or are they in some of our other
Yeah,
communities?
they're in the village of Grays Lake.
Okay.
Washington in 83, Washington and Lake, and Sherwood in 83.
Okay.
So one's in Avon,
Mm-hmm.
one's in Meadowview, and the other one is in Woodview.
Thanks.
Just wanted to add that I'm working on a demographic report. I believe you have one in 2018. So I'm trying to look at some data specifically in the last 8 years since that particular report, to particularly start looking at where is our demographic movement happening and what is the differences between Dr. Casarda's study in 2018, his predictions at that time, and where we are today based on that information as well. And I know Scott participated in a meeting a couple of weeks ago precisely of one of those housing projects and the impact fees, how that will work for our district. So we are looking at every single piece of information. You'll get an updated report as soon as I have it ready for you.
First of all, thank you for the report. So the 3.8 million seems like a big number, but can you comment on an operating margin loss standpoint, like percentage-wise, what that would be? I wasn't able to do the math fast enough. Just
As far as the difference, you
Yep.
mean?
As far as the budget deficit from revenues to expenses.
3.8 to 7, you know what, I don't have that top of my head. Trying to-
Okay, so but it seems like a fairly small percentage.
3.8 divided by 77, so you're at
Yeah,
about
so
5%-ish.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so that's not a huge number then.
No.
Could you then also comment on like what that 4%? Okay, thank you. What that means in terms of reserves and like other financials, like days, cash on hand, or anything along that, and we can take that offline as well. I'm
Yeah.
just curious what that means.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can get all that for you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Other questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wold.
You're welcome.
Okay, that moves us to the action items we have for this evening. We've got a number to go through here. First, I need a motion to approve the public notice for the budget hearing on September 16th, 2026.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay?
Weedman,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye?
Braden,
Aye.
Hune,
Aye.
and Halverson.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Second, I need a motion, please, to approve the district office basement ceiling, meaning not the ceiling, but the ceiling.
I'll move.
Second.
You're welcome. Okay.
Hune,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Halverson,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
and Weedman.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, I need a motion to approve the Right at School service contract extension as had been presented to us.
I'll move. I'll second.
Okay.
Halverson,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Hune,
Aye.
and Weedman.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, I need a motion to approve the miscellaneous rates substitute pay as presented to us.
I'll move.
Do have a question.
Yep, go ahead, Mr. Whedon.
Where does this put us with comparables around us?
We try and stay middle of the pack.
Okay. Works for me.
Mack,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Halverson,
Aye.
Hune,
Aye.
and Weedman.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Next, I need a motion to approve the Evolve service agreement for the school year 26-27 as presented.
I'll move. I'll second.
Any questions, comments, additional?
Can I just
Yep.
refresh my memory that the plan is to continue Evolve? Is this the one that we said we'd continue and then revisit? Could we handle it internally moving forward?
Yep, exactly. So
Okay.
we said, that was when I shared last week, or last month for the discussion, exactly that. We're going to continue this year with the support through Evolve and then look at how we can possibly do this internally with our own staff.
Thank you.
Okay,
Hune,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Weedman,
Aye.
and Halverson.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Next, I need a motion to approve a one-year waste management contract extension as it was presented to us.
I'll move.
I'll second. And, okay.
Braden,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Halverson,
Aye.
Weedman,
Aye.
and Hune.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Next, I need a motion to approve the resolution for hazardous road conditions, which we do every year.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay.
Hune,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Halverson,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
and Weedman.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. And finally, I need a motion to approve the access control additional scope.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay.
Mack,
Aye.
Halverson,
Aye.
Hune,
Aye.
Weedman,
Aye.
and Braden.
Aye.
Very good, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. We do not have any unfinished business before us tonight. We also do not have any new business items on the agenda for this evening. So that brings us directly to topics for future agenda items. Dr. Carmona.
Thank you. We have 2 items for September, Policy Committee. We'll have to review some policies that are pending, and then we have the summit review of facility projects, which actually fits perfectly into the conversation we had today regarding the budget. 2 items for September 16, I'm going ahead. We'll do, of course, the final budget hearing and approval, as Scott mentioned, for September 16, and then we'll start working on a walk architect presentation for the summit projects of next year.
Any other comments or questions from board members for any of those? Okay. Are there any public comments for our second public comment? Okay. We do not have a closed session this evening, so that was a quick one. So I call for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I will move.
I will second.
Okay.
Hune,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Halverson,
Aye.
Weedman,
Aye.
and Braden.
Aye.
Great. The meeting is adjourned, and good luck, everybody, as you move into the beginning of school next week. Thank you for everything. Good night, everybody.